And we are live with another edition of the All Gas No Break Sports Show. I am one of your co-hosts, Nicholas Pavona, joining alongside, as always, by my co-host Andrew Johnson. And Johnson, we are now through week number 10 in the college football season. And with that being said, we are now into our first reaction of the new college football playoff poll that was released on Tuesday night. We now know the top 25 teams in the country going into week number 11, and we now know the current hypothetical matchups for the CFP if the season were to end today. So for teams that are outside of the top 10, they are currently right now on the outside looking in of the CFP due to the factor of the group of 5 champion, and right now with the way that that last week went, now even the ACC champion is right now outside the top 10. So we'll break that down a little bit, talk about what happened last week as well, while also breaking down the first rankings of this 2025-2026 season.
Yeah, so I think we can go straight into it, Nick. Well, first of all, what excited you about Week 10? Can you give us some notable or your most notable results from Week 10?
I mean, there was so much turmoil in terms of what happened in the ACC now because everything really just changed on the whim of a dime. You go into the week, you have Miami, the number 10 team in the country after that loss to Louisville. They lose in overtime to SMU. They're pretty much now in must-win territory, and it might not be enough because both of their losses are in conference play. So Miami right now is in a really bad spot, considering that this was a team that I think a lot of people expected to maybe make it to the national championship this season, the way they were playing early on. You also had another upset in the ACC where we saw Georgia Tech, a really, really bad loss to NC State. They got dominated in that game, allowing 48 points. They right now still have a good chance to make the ACC championship due to their one loss, but they really can't afford another slip up the rest of the way in terms of what goes down for them at this point in the season. So a really bad week for the ACC. Virginia was the only team unscathed right now. So they are right now, if the season were to end today, they would be the ACC champion and they would play in the college football playoff, which unheard of to think of going into the season. And then the other two things that I noticed that were big going into this week, Texas, a monster win over Vanderbilt, putting themselves in a position to be in a position, which is what we talked about last week here on the show. They still are on that territory where they can't really afford another loss because right now, as things are constructed, they are the first team out of the college football playoffs. So they still need some help along the way, but they also need to help themselves as well. And then the last note was Oklahoma getting that big win over Tennessee, essentially knocking the Volunteers out of playoff contention. That's now their third loss of the season. And for the Sooners, they're now 7-2. They're the second team right now that is out of the college football playoff, but they still have a chance to make it with 3 games left on the season, including a monster showdown with Alabama coming up, and then 2 games with Missouri and LSU to round out the season.
So, Nick, I hate to be the fictional scenario guy, but Miami's lost a couple games, right? A&M's lost a couple games, right? USC is nowhere near the playoff. You know where I'm going with this.
Oh.
Notre Dame wins out. A&M loses 3 of their last 4, and Miami loses 1 more game. If it's going to sound crazy, does Notre Dame deserve to be in over those teams if both A&M and Miami collapse at the end of the year? This is more towards like an A&M.
I think Miami's done regardless.
Miami's probably done, right?
Yeah, I don't think
here's the thing: they still could be the ACC champions. That's the whole thing, though.
They need another team to lose, this is their
problem.
They
need a bunch of teams to lose. That's their problem,
right? Because they're behind Virginia, they're behind Georgia Tech, now they're behind Pittsburgh, and then they're behind the 2 teams that they lost to in Louisville and SMU, and including Duke as well, who they didn't lose to but haven't played. But it just goes to show you that they're in a bad spot. They do play Pitt to end the season, but that's about it. They really don't have a clear path right now to the ACC championship game.
And I'm glad you mentioned Pitt because that's on Notre Dame's schedule as well.
That does help the Irish, yeah.
Yeah, so like Pitt potentially, it's gonna sound crazy. They could run the table.
Yeah, Pitt has a good chance.
Georgia Tech, Miami, they run the table here. Yeah. They could be your ACC champions. So there's a lot of possibilities here.
The ACC right now is, in my opinion, wide open for any of those teams to make it. I think Miami there's still a case, but it's like really slim right now. You got teams like Duke that has a really good
Hey
case.
Nick,
Yeah,
beginning of the year, if I told you, hey, Cal, halfway through the season is going to have a better record than Clemson, you'd be like, wow,
yeah, I would have called you crazy.
Clemson's 8-1 and Miami's 9-0. Like, what's going on right now?
Yeah, I think the team that I'm looking at is a team that I talked about Duke earlier in the season as maybe a dark horse in the ACC, and they had some bad mishaps or the earlier the early start of the season. But if you look at their schedule to end the season, they've got a favorable schedule that they could maybe make the championship game right now. They're not ranked at the current moment, but out of conference game this week against UConn. Their final three games are against Virginia, who's been on and off the last couple weeks. They play at North Carolina, who's been playing a little bit better since their horrible start to the season, and then they play Wake Forest. So Duke might be the team that right now we're not talking about at the current moment, but they really have a good shot at making the ACC championship game at the end of the year.
Also, a little funny tidbit. This is only in conference play only. UNC would be ahead of Florida State. Imagine saying that after the first week of the season.
Yeah. And I'm trying to remember, there was a game in the conference earlier that didn't count for a conference loss. And I'm trying to remember which game that was. And it was I remember now. It was NC State and Virginia. Virginia right now is undefeated in conference play. That game against NC State didn't count in week number 2 in terms of conference record. It has something to do with the amount of conference teams you play during the season, and I think this has happened a couple other times. So right now, that's playing dividends for the Cavaliers because their only loss of the season was a quote unquote non conference loss to a conference opponent. It's a stupid and weird scenario, but that's exactly what's happening. So yeah, the ACC, like I said, is in a weird mess.
Yeah, no, there's gonna be a lot of weird scenarios here, and I kind of want to talk about the top 10 overall over here. And the Texas Longhorns are 7-2, right? Do you really think that Notre Dame got in only because SEC buys to keep them out of the playoffs at this point? Because I think Texas's resume is stronger.
Oh, by far, it's by far stronger. I think the reason is because of the Florida loss. It has everything to do with that loss to Florida. Because that was a game where Texas, they just played so bad in that game. The Gators are now on a backup head coach at this current point in time. And I think that's the only reason. If Texas obviously doesn't lose that game, there's no doubt about it. They're higher ranked than Notre Dame. But because they lost to a team that's right now, I think 3-5 on the season, that's why Texas is lower ranked than Notre Dame.
Yeah, it's very tough because here's the thing. They lost to Ohio State, right? They lost to Ohio State by a touchdown. They have a bad loss against Florida. But wins over Oklahoma and Vanderbilt are way better than anything Notre Dame has. And I'm not gonna lie, if Miami kind of continues the way they're going, if they finish the season like 6-5, I mean, are you gonna what team do you think would be? It's not really like
I think right now for Notre Dame,
it's very difficult, right? That's what I'm just trying to get at right now.
Yeah, their best bet is hoping USC maybe wins out to end the year because they play games against Iowa and Oregon to end the season. Not saying they're going to win those games, but it's not out of the question that they could win those games. I don't think Oregon is as dominant as we thought going into the season, and they have a tough game this weekend too.
I'm going to name a bunch of teams, right? And you're going to tell me these are the teams that Florida lost to. Georgia by 4 points. Yep. A&M by 2 touchdowns. Yep. LSU by 10 points. Miami by 2.5 touchdowns. And then South Florida by a safety. Yeah. So it's not like any of these are particularly like bad losses.
Right.
Like,
4 out of those 5 are currently either in the playoff picture or outside the playoff picture, like just on the outside. LSU's the only team that's not on the playoff picture, which is the funniest part about that.
Yeah, ironically, LSU beginning of the year, LSU up until probably 2 weeks ago was looking like they were going to be in the playoffs, but it's crazy how fast it could happen.
Yeah, that A&M loss was the dagger in their season. And
yeah, if only the games ended in the first half, then LSU would be Brian Kelly would still have a job.
Yeah, that might be the case. I don't know. I look at it like this. To me, everyone right now in the poll, besides Tennessee, is still like mathematically alive. I know that's not saying much because they're ranked, But Tennessee feels like the only team in the top 25 that's actually eliminated. Like every single team, you could make the case, has a case to make it to CFP. You know, I'm not like, obviously they have to do unimaginable things more than likely to get there. Like Missouri, for example, they have to beat A&M this weekend to stay
All right,
alive.
Nick. Here's how Tennessee gets in there. They run the
There's a
gauntlet.
path.
They maybe. I mean, it requires probably 15 teams losing ahead of them.
Schedule's not great to end the season.
Yeah, I'm saying they finished 9-3, right? And it's in conference play for 2 games over, 5-3 in the SEC. They'd be ahead of Vanderbilt. They'd be right behind Oklahoma right now. Texas and Texas A&M have to lose one game. A lot of these teams in the top 6 or 7 in the SEC have to lose at least one, if not 2 games, because of the way they're playing each other.
Yeah.
Like Oklahoma is going to play Alabama and Missouri, so like Oklahoma is going to lose. It has the possibility to lose one of those games. And Alabama is going to play. Alabama's going to play Auburn to end the year, I think, which is always kind of crazy. Not
Yeah.
saying that they're a little far ahead.
Yeah, with the way
but,
Auburn played this season.
But Georgia's going to play Texas. Georgia's going to play Texas. They're going to play Mississippi State. So that's Tennessee could potentially jump Vanderbilt, Oklahoma. They could jump Texas, and after that it gets a little tricky. Yeah. So if they jump those 4 teams, and the top 5 ends up being A&M, Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Tennessee. You have the ACC chaos. The Big Ten's not too strong. I don't know.
I'll tell you this.
It's not eliminated yet, but I give them less than 1% chance, and that's just me being a devil's advocate right now.
So their current odds are 12%. They have 12% odds to make it. They have to win out, basically, obviously. And even if they win out, their percentage chances increase to 49%. So it's like a 50-50 split if they were.
Yeah, so like I kind of said, like it's going to take a lot of luck.
They need Vanderbilt to win pretty much out until that final game, obviously.
Yeah, I would agree.
Vanderbilt will help them a lot if they get, some wins along the way. And that also helps, obviously, Texas, and then helps Alabama as well, because it helps improve the resumes. It's like how we usually, when we
discuss basketball.
Exactly, when we discuss college basketball, it's like right now we're in that same type of format right now, where you're talking about resumes for teams trying to get into this college football playoff.
They should just make it like March Madness and have 64 teams play.
No, they should not.
Have the teams play every 3 days. Just make it flag football for the first couple of games. It'll be fun.
Hey, listen, they have talked about expanding the current 12-team format as it is. I've heard that there's a rumor that maybe move to 16.
Money, I love it. Everything on behalf of the almighty dollar, especially when it comes to college athletics.
Yeah,
remember, took away Reggie Bush's Heisman, but now you can get paid millions of dollars.
Did he get it back though?
I don't care. It's the principle, man.
Yeah, I know. It's
Johnny Manziel making up stories about coming from oil money. Oh boy, but that would have been a shame. You're gonna have the schools got Jim Harbaugh even before the athletics. Oh, he bought the kids a steak dinner. Let's give him the death penalty.
Yeah.
Oh man, you just got paid $2.5 million to sit out a season. Oh well, have fun. Like I don't know. It's all crazy now. Just the hypocrisy of it all.
So with the poll coming out, here are the hypothetical matchups we have right now. If the season ended today, you would have the number 4, obviously the top 4 seeds. They get their first round buys. They don't have to play in the first round, so they would be Ohio State number 1, Indiana number 2, Texas A&M 3, Alabama number 4. Remember, it's a different format than last season's format, where last year was the top 4 conference champions. Thankfully, they switched that method. They don't have to do that again this season. So that's at least a bit of a better of a change, in my opinion.
It's going to be crazy when Ohio State loses the game. And, first of all, they're going to lose to Rutgers, right? Rutgers is going to have the upset.
Yeah, okay.
And then they're going to lose to Michigan, right?
The Michigan game is obviously more...
And then Indiana's going to lose to Purdue at the end of the season. And you're going to see 4 SEC teams in the top 4.
Well, right now, the way it's currently going, let me count. What do they have? 4 already in there?
3 through 6 is the SEC. So yes, it is theoretically it is possible that we get 4 SEC teams in the top 4.
There's already right now we're at the current point where there is 4 teams in there. So after the top 4, you have your 5-12 matchup, which is Georgia, one of those SEC teams, taking on Memphis, who is currently the highest rated Group of 5 team. They are the favorites to win the American Championship at the current moment. And it seems like the American Championship is going to be the conference that gets that group of 5 winner to get to the college football playoff at this point. So whoever wins the American is going to the college football playoff, it looks like, at this current point in time. You would then have the 10-7 matchup be Notre Dame taking on BYU, with the winner taking on Indiana. So we'll see. BYU's had a very magical season. Very tough game for them this upcoming weekend. And the Irish are, like you mentioned, they're pretty much in a great spot. Their toughest game remaining looks to be that Pittsburgh game. So we'll see what happens for them. And then the other matchups, you have the 11-6 matchup, which is Virginia, who is right now the 14th ranked team in the country, but because they're one of the highest rated group of 4 winners in terms of conference champions, they would be the projected ACC champion. They would take on the 6-seeded Ole Miss Rebels, with the winner taking on Texas A&M. And the final matchup, as currently constructed, it is the 9-8 matchup, Oregon and Texas Tech, with the winner taking on Ohio State.
It seems like it's a very good playoff bracket so far. They really took a lot of things into consideration. Memphis, they're not locked in yet either.
No,
because they got a big game this week, which we're going to talk about.
If Memphis loses this week, then you're putting South Florida and James Madison and Tulane right back into that conversation over them. Even Navy, but Navy also has their own tough game as well this week.
Yeah, I mean, if Navy beats Notre Dame and they win out,
they're a lock at this point. Yeah. Like I mentioned, I think it comes down to the American champion that gets a team in there. You have Navy, Memphis, North Texas, Tulane, and South Florida. Those 5 teams are all in conversation to get there. I think the only team on the outside of that conference that could get in there is James Madison in the Sun Belt. I don't think any other team in the group of 5 has a hypothetical to get there. I think it's right now those 5 teams in the American and James Madison in the Sun Belt. I think San Diego State might have a possibility in the Mountain West, so maybe there's more than one team outside of that American Conference, but it's a lot right now. It's really up for grabs at this point, which is what I like about it. I mean, will this team probably get destroyed in their matchup? Absolutely, but I at least like to see these teams battling it out to try to get on the national stage and try to, promote their brand and their university in a matchup where they more than likely lose by 2 or 3 touchdowns, maybe more than that.
Hey, it's like how they're trying to give. Yeah, they're trying to give a.
They're hoping the NCAA is hoping for a March Madness Cinderella upset.
Yes,
exactly. Yeah, you and I would you were thinking the same thing. They're hoping for an upset because it almost happened with I know it was a different 12-5 matchup last year, but the BYU Penn State game, not BYU, I'm sorry, Boise State Penn State game, like that was close for a little bit. They were hoping Genty and company would get the win in that game, but Penn State ended up winning. So yeah, right now the group of 5 is wide open for anyone. It could certainly change this weekend if Memphis were to lose their game against Tulane, because then you talk about Tulane being in that spot. You talk about San Diego State, James Madison, North Texas, South Florida, so on, so be it. It could be any one of those teams. Basically, the game between Tulane and Memphis is an elimination game this weekend, which is what I like about this American conference right now. It's pretty much elimination games from here on in.
Yeah, it's great to see. And, we have February basketball. Now we have November football to look forward to the playoffs.
Yeah. This is where, it's crunch time for all these teams. Like, you really can't have, there's no more room for error. Like, teams like, for example, Texas, who lose earlier in the season to Florida, whatever. They had the room for error earlier on because now they've at least gotten better the last couple of weeks to where now they are right outside the poll, right outside the top 10, which is where you need to be at this current point in time to get into the CFP. And obviously, they have to play 2 of the top 5 teams in the country in 2 of their last 3 games. So the path is there for them. I wouldn't be surprised if they lost one of those games and won the other one, if they could still make it as maybe a 3-loss, SEC team. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, never say never, Nick.
I want to see what the odds of that would be. Let's see. If Texas were to lose one more game, their odds are 58%. So
that's not too bad, actually.
It's not bad. A 3-loss Texas team could get in there. I think a 3-loss Oklahoma team still is not out of the realm of possibility either.
Yeah, I don't think so
But
either. That's we'll see. It'll be very interesting.
yeah, we got a couple weeks left in the season to figure that out. But with that being said, Johnson, I think it's a good time to segue into the mushing hour for week number 11 of the college football season. It's a nice little slate we have this week here in college football. 3 matchups are between ranked opponents. We have a couple teams maybe on upset alert. And our first game of the week is going to be that eliminator game that I talked about earlier on from the American Conference. We'll start it off on Friday night. It's Tulane at Memphis. Pretty much goes as saying, Johnson. The loser is pretty much done. The winner is going to more than likely be that group of 5 leader going into week number 12. Who do you got?
I'm going for chaos. Give me Tulane plus 3.5.
We didn't agree much on the NFL pod, but I'm with you on Tulane as well in this game. Give me the Green Wave plus 3.5 in this one, too.
All in on Tulane.
I think they were my team last year as the group of 5 winner. I don't remember off the top of my head if they were or not. But like I mentioned, I picked James Madison at the beginning of the season, so I could use a couple teams ahead of them right now to lose. So go Dukes. I'm going to take Tulane to cover this matchup and hopefully win. No offense, Memphis. Let's go into our Saturday slate, Johnson. What we got first up?
We have number 5 Georgia on the road into they're going into Mississippi State's arena. So it's Georgia minus
Starkville.
9.5. Yeah, Georgia minus 9.5 points at on the road, and the over under slate at 55.5. Give me Georgia minus 9.5. Nice easy game.
I'm going to take Mississippi State to cover the 9.5. They are one of the best teams in college football in terms of covering the spread. I think they're 8-1 on the season in terms of against the spread. So I'm just going to trust the team that's been doing it all season. Georgia hasn't really looked dominant enough to where I'd be comfortable with a 9.5 spread. So I'll take the Bulldogs to cover the 9.5 and give Georgia a little bit of a scare in Starkville on Saturday afternoon. Our next matchup goes into South Bend as we have Navy, who is one of those group of 5 teams trying to get into the college football playoff, taking on the number 10 Notre Dame Fighting Irish. Notre Dame, a 26.5 point favorite, 55.5 the over-under.
Give me Navy to cover. Plus 26.5 is ridiculous
So many
as
points.
that sounds.
It's so many points. I'm just going to take the over. Notre Dame's defense doesn't impress me, and Navy's, going to be playing the best offense they played all season, obviously. They didn't look too great either against North Texas a couple weeks ago, so I'm expecting a big game out of Jeremiah Love in this matchup for the Irish. So I'll take the over in that matchup in South Bend. What's our next matchup?
We have LSU going into Bryant Denny Stadium and take on the number 4 Alabama Crimson Tide. Bama is a 9.5 point favorite at home, over under slate at 49.5. Give me Bama to cover here. Bama minus 9.5.
Well, this is LSU's first game since they fired Brian Kelly, so does that give them some type of a spark and maybe give Alabama a little bit of a closer game? I'm not so certain, so I'm just going to take the over in this game too. I think they'll play with some intensity in this matchup, but I don't trust them to win or cover, so I would rather just take the points and play it safe in Tuscaloosa this weekend. This is an interesting game, Johnson. Our next one we have coming up. Number 9, Oregon taking on number 20, Iowa. Oregon, a 6.5 point favorite, 42.5 the over-under. I know you're a big fan of the Hawkeyes. I was very happy to see them ranked in the poll because the AP poll, for some reason, did not have them in the rankings. And at least the playoff committee realized, okay, Iowa's playing some good football. They deserve to be ranked. They've got some aspirations for making the college football playoff at this current point.
They do, but guess what? Oregon's not going to be there. Iowa plus 6.5. Give me the Hawkeyes.
Okay, you're taking the Hawkeyes. Yeah, look at Iowa's schedule. They got Oregon, USC, Michigan State, and Nebraska. There's a path. There's a path for the Hawkeyes to maybe make it right now if they win this game. 42.5. I'm looking at that. Do I take a third straight over in an Iowa game also? I'll take Iowa to cover them 6.5 too. I'll stick with you on that one. I can't envision myself taking it over under in an Iowa football game. It's still not pretty. So I'll take Iowa
much for you
as well. Yeah, it's too much. I think it could get there, but Oregon struggled to score against Wisconsin. So it's like if they can't score against Wisconsin, they might struggle even further in this matchup with Iowa. So I'll take the Iowa 6.5. What's our next matchup?
We have number 3 Texas A&M. Go Aggies, gig 'em. At number 22 Missouri, A&M is a 6.5 point favorite on the road. 47.5 is the slated over under. Is it obvious, Nick? Give me A&M minus 6.5.
Yeah, I'm very surprised you said that after you saying Gig'em. I was suspecting you to go the other way.
Yeah, you would have guessed. You would have guessed, right?
Well, the problem for Missouri is they're going to be on their, I believe, their third string quarterback in this game. Bo Pribula got hurt in their last matchup. Obviously, it's an eliminator game for them. They have to win out to even make the CFP. A&M's just rolling on all cylinders. I feel like everyone is expecting the A&M, loss to happen. I think you would even say like
It's
you
overdue.
right. It's gonna happen. I think it's gonna be the Texas game, in my opinion. I think they win out from here. They probably go into Austin and lose that game against Texas at the end of the season. But a one-loss A&M team will still be good enough to make the SEC championship game, and of course make
Oh,
the CFP.
absolutely.
So there's really no worries if you're A&M at this point. You can't have a hiccup against either Missouri or South Carolina along the way. So I'll take A&M minus 6.5 as well in that game in Missouri. And then our final game of the week, it's the game of the week, and it comes from the Big 12. I know how much you love that conference, Johnson. It's number 7 BYU, number 8 Texas Tech. That game being played in Lubbock. Texas Tech is a 10.5 point favorite, 52.5 the over under.
BYU plus 10.5. You really think it's worth
They
more
are
than a
getting
touchdown?
disrespected
Yeah,
so
this is
badly.
crazy. BYU plus 10.5. I don't have to explain this for anyone.
My worry for this game is this like last week with the Utah Cincinnati game, where like you saw the spread, and you're like, why is Cincinnati a big underdog in that game? And then Utah just destroys them in that matchup. I'm worried about that in this matchup too. For that reason, I was thinking about the over, but Texas Tech's defense is like somewhat decent. Can I really take a third over too? I'll take BYU to cover. I'll ride with you on that one, 10.5. They're the only undefeated team left in this conference, and yet they're like underdogs against Iowa State. They're double-digit underdogs on the road against Texas Tech. They're probably one of the most disrespected teams in the country at this current point in time. So put some respect on the Cougars' name. I'll take them to cover the 10.5, but I do think Texas Tech wins the game at the end of the night in Lubbock. So, or I should say, end of the afternoon in Lubbock. That game is at 12 o'clock. So that wraps it up for week number 11 of the Mushing Hour. Any final thoughts, Johnson, about the CFP poll or anything else college
Go
football related?
Aggies. Aggies have the number 1 seed. Let's go Michigan in at the end of the year. And let's go Purdue. So I'm gonna be Purdue and Michigan fans for the last week of the season, as long as A&M wins out.
Why exactly Purdue?
They're playing Indiana.
As it, oh, I thought it was because they were playing Ohio State this week.
No, 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 no.
Oh, it has nothing to do with the play Ohio State. It's just Indiana.
I mean, it would be pretty funny if they could get one win. I want them
30,
to win
30
it.
and a half. I mean,
I mean, if they're gonna get one win at the end of the season, I want it to be against Indiana, not Ohio State, because I think Michigan will do that for me.
do you think Penn State keeps it anyone close against Indiana this weekend?
Depends. You think 40 and a half? Are they? You
14
think
and
they
a
can
half is
cover
the over.
45?
Is the spread.
Oh, okay. If you gave me like plus 45.5, I would probably take them.
I'm not gonna lie. If we put that in our docket, I wasn't going to. I might have taken Penn State. I might have. I
No,
might
I
have.
wouldn't. I wouldn't have taken Penn State.
But then again, I'm like 16 games under 500 this season, so
Maybe it's for the best.
yeah, maybe it's for the best. I don't do that. So hopefully our records are for. I mean, your record's fine. You're still 10 games over, but I need to. Time's ticking on me trying to improve my record this college football season. So hopefully I got
All
a
I see
clean
is that.
sweep.
All I see is the rabbit meme from Twitter right now with the pocket watch. He's pointing at it. Nick,
Yeah, I'm running out of time.
time's up.
Yeah, it's really bad. I'm trying to do different things. You know what it is? Like I try to do different things every single week, and then I have games like Cal, who was covering the entire game. Then I don't know if you saw it. They had a pick six that, like Virginia scores a pick six to end the game when they didn't even need to do it. They just said, "Oh, screw it, we're gonna run it back for a touchdown when the game's already over." So that didn't cover. And then Tennessee dominates Oklahoma in the entire first half, and they still end up losing the game by 6. Like that was mind-boggling. But we were watching, of course, the World Series as well at the same time, so it's kind of tough to really watch the atrocity Tennessee's
Yep.
offense was doing in that first half
Yep. Yep. Yep.
of that game. But Johnson, that's going to do it for this week's edition of the All Gas No Break Sports Show. A very wild week for us here on the show. Our 4th episode of the week concludes with week number 10 of the college football season going into week number 11. The first college football playoff poll is out, and we'll see how the rankings will be next week when we recap the rankings as well as the week 11 games in college football. Big games this weekend, including the matchup between Oregon and Iowa, Texas A&M, Missouri, and BYU and Texas Tech. For Nicholas Pavona and Andrew Johnson, this has been the All Gas No Break Sports Show. Have a great rest of your week.